Hello. It's the BS detector back again. We're going to read some more because we got to get this thing done. And this, you see where this little piece of paper is? You can see I spilled coffee all over. I spilled coffee all over everything. So we're probably a good halfway done with the book. But I will say, out of all these books that we've been reading, like, they definitely have some footnotes, but that take up some pages. So we're going to keep reading though, because I really want to get this done, because I want to get to this Fauci book just because it's very timely. His deposition or whatever that he just did, like, I want to read this, and it's very short. I could take a break. I mean, it would probably take me 20 minutes to read this. But this is not a good person, okay? This is not a good person. He's a piece of shit. And if you stand with him, you're an idiot. No offense to anyone. But come on. Okay, so I think are still in, well, no, let's see. I think we're in chapter 5 now, Doors of Perception. Let's see. Maybe it's chapter 4. Yeah, chapter 4. Okay. And we were talking about MK Ultra and Wavy Gravy from the Grateful Dead. And, I've heard, obviously, being a conspiracy factist is what I like to call myself. I knew the Grateful Dead was part of this whole psyop that they've been running on us. It's just one psyop after another, after another, after another, after another. And once you learn how to recognize them, then it's very easy. And I know I've mentioned before, like, I knew immediately when this whole Charlie Kirk thing went down that it really wasn't happening the way that they said that it did, and that he most likely was not unalived. And the more evidence I've seen, the more convinced I am that he's not. Epstein too, but there's a really great channel called They Live Truth. I think it's the old Russian vids. Like, if you're like triple OG conspiracy theorist person on here for like a decade or more, you know who Russian vids is. And they took his channel down because he was like exposing all the psyops and stuff. And then I guess he brought his channel back, and it's called They Live Truth. Please go check that out, because he proves to me, I mean, having gone to television production school, knowing what a blood squib is, he slows it down frame by frame. I mean, you can tell Charlie was definitely in on it. And I know nobody wants to believe that sweet little Charlie Kirk. It's like, bro, who was his mentor? Some billionaire guy? Like, come on, people. Wake up. Let's not be so freaking gullible, okay? Anyways. Okay. So, we are entering the header, the Aquarian Conspiracy. Okay? In the spring of 1980, a book exploded on the scene called The Aquarian Conspiracy. It sold over 1 million copies and was translated into 10 languages. Overnight, it became a manifesto of the counterculture, defining the counterculture as a cultural group whose values and norms are at odds with those of the social mainstream, and in practical terms, as the youth rebellion that swept North America and Western Europe in the 1960s and early 1970s. The Aquarian Conspiracy declared that it is, quote, now time for the 15 million Americans involved in the counterculture to join in, bringing about a radical change in the United States, end quote. This is all sneaky schmionist bullshit, okay? Those that have the eyes to see know that these secret societies And these Jays have been plotting and scheming on us since time immemorial. All right. And also, I am going to see my friend again today that helped me. Shout out J Noir channel. He is helping me edit. We downloaded OBS onto my iMac. However, I could not figure out like what the deal was with the storage, and I think I've figured it out. Anyways, I'm going to see him later this afternoon. I'm going to bring the laptop back to him, having cleared out the storage, and hopefully we can do like a little practice run of me doing a video. And then I really probably need to go to AT&T and just go ahead and upgrade my phone anyways, since it'll only be like another $30 a month, and then I'll have technically 3 cameras, the one on the iMac, this phone, and then another phone. I mean, that's all I really need. It's not like I'm trying to like shoot, you know, in super duper uber 4K and have like, I'm just trying to sit here and read books to you guys. And eventually we will go over like these perfumes and my opinions and whatnot, because I just ordered another one because Daniel Renee swears that Vanilla Aura by Maison Azrar is like Vanille Planifolia by Guerlain. We'll see. And I should have bought Herba Gold. I have the regular Herba Pura by Xerjoff, which this was not cheap. It was probably like, I don't know, $1.75, and this is for the 1.7 mil. This is not even the big boy. But that's what I'm wearing right now. Dude, it's like so fresh and fruity. It's unisex. I love it. I absolutely love it. But then the Herba Gold, when I got the decants, I thought, you know, well, Herba Pura is the more well-known popular one, so I'll just get that. And I really liked Herba Gold better, and they've got one on sale right now. I'm not going to tell you where it's on sale because you might go buy it. But they have the tester on sale for like literally less than the 1.7. Why I'm talking about perfumes in this video, don't know. Sorry, let's keep reading. Okay. In fact, this book was the first mass publication to promote teamwork, a concept hailed as a paragon of virtue and readily promoted by business management, quote-unquote, gurus. Teamwork, however, was a psychological technique the Tavistock Institute introduced as a way to control brilliant individuals through peer pressure. It was a part of the experiment conducted by the Brigadier General and the Tavistock Master John Reese in the field of group therapy. Wow. I always knew that teamwork makes the dream work was bullshit. All right. Okay. L. Marcus, okay, let's see. In the field of group therapy, L. Marcus, writing for the Campaigner magazine in April 1974, explains, quote, a skilled group leader can use the group to create a powerful family environment. Once this environment is induced, it becomes possible for the therapist to manipulate a member of the group, not by a direct attack, but by subtly manipulating through suggestions the other members of the group. If the victim has been sucked into thinking of the group as something warm and helpful, then when that environment has been manipulated to turn against him, it will tend to have the impact of deep motherly rejection. Furthermore, if the victim is not completely aware of the therapist's chain of manipulation, he will tend to internalize their result, thinking that he himself is responsible for this new awareness about himself. End quote. And I've been through shit like that, having worked at several very toxic work environments. This whole psychological method has been employed on myself and other coworkers and friends, you know. They'll gas a couple of people up, you know, make them feel like they're special and they're in charge when they're telling a whole nother group of people the same line of bullshit. So I like to work alone or with a team, one other person that I can trust. And that's what I do now. So, I mean, that's just crazy though to me. Absolutely crazy. Okay, Marcus goes on to say, quote, if the controllers can succeed in structuring a stressed individual's or group situation appropriately, the victims can be induced to develop for himself a special sort of reaction formation. through which he democratically arrives precisely at the attitudes and decisions the dictators wish to force upon him, end quote. It seems to me like the end of is like always written from the beginning. They know what these outcomes are. They know these days. These are the days, okay? Well, people are like, who's they? These people are the days, okay? Like, you sound like a freaking idiot asking, who's they? Like, there aren't a nefarious group of evil shitlords that are social engineering the masses. People act like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. No, the fuck I'm not. I am a reality enjoyer. Everyone else is living in la la land, okay? If you watch TV, if you are a sports ball person, addict, you can't go a week without watching a football game, a baseball game, a soccer game, or whatever. You are the problem, not me. I'm over here reading books and learning shit, all right? So, take that bullshit elsewhere. Sorry, it just aggravates me to no end because I get ridiculed and challenged all the time on things that I know because I read books by people who like to Google shit and then believe what Google tells them, as if Google isn't controlled by these same fucking assholes. Don't get me started. Like, I do get very emotional about this because this is like life or death here, people, okay? It truly is. And it is a big, hairy deal. And a lot of people don't really seem to care. So how did author Marilyn Ferguson see the entire Aquarian movement? Quote, while outlining a not yet titled book about the emerging social alternatives, I thought again about the peculiar form of this movement, its atypical leadership, the patient intensity of its adherents, their unlikely successes. It suddenly struck me that in their sharing of strategies, their linkage, and their recognition of each other by subtle signals, the participants were not merely cooperating with one another, they were in collusion. This movement, is a conspiracy. The counterculture revolution was a cleverly concealed conspiracy from the top down. I'm not saying that. He's saying that. Daniel Eschelin. You don't like it? Take it up with him. Y'all act like, and I say y'all very loosely because I know most people that are here because you already know there's BS. You see there's BS. But there's always going to be some dickhead in the comments challenging me on the definition of a word or, splitting hairs about some irrelevant bullshit when obviously we've got bigger fish to fry here. Okay. So cut the crap. Oh my God. I got a hair or something in my eye. Anyways. Oh God. I don't know what the problem is. Something's poking me in my eye. Anyway. All right, let's keep reading. Hold on. Okay, my B. There was like something in my eye. I don't know what it was. And it's still there, but it's just like right here in the corner. And I can deal with that. But good Lord. It felt like I had sand in my eyes. Okay, so anyways. In fact, the counterculture revolution was a cleverly concealed conspiracy from the top down, created as a method of social control through the use of difficult to identify silent weapons technology and, quote, used to drain the United States of its commitment to scientific and technological progress, end quote. And when it's talking about silent weapons technology, if you don't know who Deborah Tavares is, you need to go to the website stopthecrime.net. She will expose to you there all of the electronic weapons that have been deployed against us at least since the 50s, 60s, I don't know if you've ever heard of Havana syndrome, but that is like where people were literally hearing things, and they have all this technology, dude. If I need to, I'll find the patent numbers and put them up for y'all to see. And this is why I find that people that are so stuck on the Second Amendment, like, yeah, Second Amendment is great to defend your property against invaders or whatever, but like, if people think they're going to form some militia against the government, I just want you to know right now that they have the weapon, they have multiple forms of weaponry that with a push of a button, they can render 10,000 people immobile. They can make you all shit your pants at the same time. All they have to do is emit a certain frequency, which is, I think I did actually mention when they went and got Maduro from Venezuela. The Venezuelans down there said they just heard some crazy noise that totally immobilized them, and then poof, he was gone. So if you think your little gun, I don't care if it's got silencers and massive magazines and all that, you don't stand a chance. And this is all being done through places like DARPA, NASA even, because there was a document found in a printer, just like a copywriter or a printer, a copier, like a photocopier printer, that was being thrown out, I guess, by the offices of some governmental office, okay? And it was found by someone who took the time to read it and realized the document was called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. There are weapons deployed on us right now. 5G is a weapon, people. It was developed by DARPA as a weapon. It's not for faster download speeds. And if you believe that, slap yourself. Stop believing the government and what they tell you. Jesus. All right. Initially, the Aquarian conspiracy was a secret U.S. government project assigned to Stanford Research Institute and created in 1946 by the Tavistock Institute to study how newly created cultural and social trends affect society, such as libertarianism, left libertarianism, liberalism, socialism, anarchism, communism, materialism, naturism, mysticism, hedonism, spirituality, environmentalism, feminism, New Age, and many other basic orientations on society, because they are trying to defeat Christianity. Because Christianity is the only belief system where people can be free to live and seek out their own destiny without being controlled. And don't come at me with this bullshit about ancient Catholicism and stuff. I'm talking about today, okay? There's always some naysayer. Okay, anyways. Never publicly released and secretly named the changing images of man, the Aquarian conspiracy sprang from a policy report prepared by the Stanford Research Institute Center for the Study of Social Policy. The 319-page mimeographed report was prepared by a team of 14 researchers and directed by a panel of 23 controllers, including Margaret Mead, B.F. Skinner, Irvin Laszlo of the United Nations, Sir Geoffrey Vickers of the British Intelligence Agency. The entire project was overseen by Professor Willis Harman, a, quote, futurist, whose specialty was promoting a post-industrial social paradigm as a popular version of how to transform or soften up, according to Tavistock manuals, the United States into Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. And now look at us. Here we are. In a 1961 lecture, Aldous Huxley had described his police state as, quote, the final revolution, end quote, and a, quote, dictatorship without tears, end quote, where people, quote, love their servitude, end quote. He said the goal was to produce, quote, a kind of painless concentration camp for entire societies so that people will, in fact, have their liberties taken away. but will be distracted from any desire to rebel by propaganda or brainwashing or sports ball or shopping or whatever. Enhanced by pharmacological methods, end quote. The aim of the Stanford study, state the authors, is to change the desire of mankind from that of industrial progress to one that embraces, quote, spiritualism, end quote. War by nonviolent or nonlinear confrontation. Quote, the study asserts that in our present society, the, quote, image of industrial and technological man, end quote, is obsolete and must be, quote, discarded, end quote. So they want to discard all of us. And dude, we've heard the royals, we've heard Bill Gates, we've heard all of these technocratic eugenicists basically say the exact thing. They want depopulation. Quote, many of our present images appear to have become dangerously obsolete. However, science, technology, and economics have made possible really significant strides toward achieving such basic human goals as physical safety and security, material comfort, and better health. But many of these successes have brought with them problems of being too successful. Problems that seem insoluble within the set of societal value premises that led to their emergence. Our highly developed system of technology leads to higher vulnerability and breakdowns. Indeed, the range and interconnected impact of societal problems that are now emerging pose a serious threat to our civilization. If our predictions of future prove correct, we can expect the association problems of the trend to become more serious, more universal, and to occur more rapidly, end quote. Therefore, the SRI study concludes, which is the Stanford Research Institute, that, quote, we must change the industrial technological image of man fast. Analysis of the nature of contemporary societal problems leads to the conclusion that the images of man that dominated the last 2 centuries will be inadequate for the post-industrial era, end quote. The report concludes with the following set of predictions. Quote, there are numerous indications that a new anticipatory image of mankind may be emerging. Number 1, youth involvement in political processes. The youth have absolutely no business being involved in politics. They are stupid. Everybody knows that kids are dumb and they don't know shit. Why are we going to get them involved in politics? Because they are easy to brainwash. Duh. 2, the women's liberation movement, which I'm no feminist. I mean, I enjoy being able to drive. And, should I had the money to purchase real estate, I would enjoy that right. However, I could give 2 shits about being able to vote because I recognize that it is an exercise in futility and I didn't enjoy wasting my time. 3, youth rebellion against societal wrongs. 4, emerging interest in social responsibility of business. So, and you see that all over, like, we recycle and we are a net zero carbon emission, blah, blah, blah. It's like, people don't even know how, like, trees, the symbiosis of, like, what trees breathe and what they exhale and what we breathe. It's a symbiotic relationship that everyone has been brainwashed to think is bad. Anyways, okay. The generation gap implying a changing paradigm. The anti-technological bias of many young people. Because we know it's the demon. And I'm not even a young people. I'm a middle-aged people. 7, experimentation with new family structures and interpersonal relationships. Yeah. They're allowing, how many times have we seen 2 married men allowed to adopt a child, and then it turns out that the child is abused? And if that offends you, unsub. but more often than not, and then the gay San Francisco choir, "We're coming for your children." I don't think it gets any more blatant than that. And then the Pride Parade a few years ago, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children." So it's not a conspiracy theory. The emergence of communes as alternative lifestyle. The emergence of conservative ecology movement. Yeah, like you're not... you remember in Spaceballs where they have like canned air? Like that was a little bit of predictive programming, because I feel like that's literally what we're coming up on. Like, you know, you can buy some fresh air in a can and breathe it, because they're acting like water and resources that the world God made for us. Okay, the earth is the center of this thing. We are the center of it. We are the center of God's creation, not the sun. Sun worshippers made that shit up, okay? Pagan sun worshiper cults made up this solar system that we have now. All the ancients knew that the earth was the center of the universe. Why wouldn't it be? We're it, bro. Anyways, the conservative ecology movement, it's in theory a great idea, but what it's going to end up in is tyranny. You're not going to be able to drive your car so many miles a day. Like, and I hope that y'all can see where this is going. Okay, let's see. A surge in interest in Eastern religious and philosophical perspectives, and everybody's doing yoga now, which now you're just yoking yourself to demons. Good job, dumbasses. A surge in interest, okay, a renewed interest in fundamentalist Christianity. I don't know where that's coming from, but I have noticed a lot of like people that are going back to like orthodoxy, which I can respect that. They at least have some lineage of traditions that they have been practicing that is not connected to the Roman Catholic Church, which is evil. But I grew up in the fundy Christian church, and I will never go back to that. It's more Gnostic than Gnosticism. Okay. Labor union concerns with quality of the work environment. OSHA, anyone? An increasing interest in meditation and other spiritual disciplines. Yeah, because everybody wants to get there without God, and you can't. The increasing importance of self-realization process. Yes, that is exactly where we're at. Everyone is all worried about me, 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 me. These disparate trends do not, when taken individually, signify the emergence of a new image of a human being. Yet when they are considered collectively, they suggest substantial societal stirrings which may eventually emerge into a new and guiding image, end quote. This was published in 1974. In retrospect, how many of these hideous, inhuman forms have become accepted by the mainstream? Most of them, all of them. Each and every one of them. Investigative journalist Crichton Zoakos, what a freaking name, Zoakos, Zokos, called it, quote, countercultural zombieism. And that tracks. That sounds about right. Quote, thus softened up, the United States was now deemed ripe for the introduction of drugs, especially cocaine, crack cocaine, and heroin, to rival the Prohibition era in scope and the huge amounts of money to be made. This, too, was an integral part of the Aquarian conspiracy. The proliferation of drug usage was one of the subjects under study at the Science Policy Research Unit at the Tavistock Institute, Sussex University facility. It was known as the Future Shock Center, a title given to so-called future-oriented psychology designed to manipulate whole population groups to induce, quote, future shocks, end quote. The Columbus Center at the University of Sussex is a Tavistock front organization. The center is involved only in one line of work. It publishes, quote, studies in the dynamics of percussion and extermination. Did you hear that? The dynamics of percussion and extermination. In other words, quote, the United States were to be programmed to change and become so accustomed to such planned changes that it would hardly be noticeable when profound changes did occur. And here we are, bro. Like the weather, shit's burning down all over us, earthquakes, all this crazy shit going on, and no one's even batting an eyelash. Our food system is being utterly controlled and poisoned by evil shitlords that want to kill us, and people just keep going and buying it. Because everyone was told what to think and not how to think. Now we have a population that is so dumbed down that they wouldn't know what to do or how to do it. And it's sad. It's sad, bro. And then should anyone rise up to try to help the people, they'll just be unalived. I mean, think of all of the scientists, all these plasma scientists, for instance, just in the past, 6 months that have disappeared. They were there 1 minute and gone the next. Now, did they disappear because they were needed to assist in some clandestine... Sorry, I'm looking around for my vape. They were needed to assist in some clandestine secret operation that was going on, or because they found out the nature of reality. Hold on 1 second. Like going back to when it said the only people that were allowed to build the railroads were Freemasons. Why? Because they survey the land and they know that it doesn't curve? All the astronauts are Freemasons too. They're keeping a big secret. And I've been trying to tell people, but, everybody thinks I'm crazy. Yeah, crazy. Reality sounds crazy when you've been brainwashed all your life. All right. And I'm not trying to sound like a bitch. This is just my stern voice where I'm just like over the BS. And it's like, yeah, here we are. I'm not trying to talk down to anyone, so please don't take it that way. I know I have a tone. My mom always told me. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be mean. I just really, really want people to wake up. Please wake up. Okay? All right. In fact, this far-reaching initiative for silent weapon technology was first discussed and put into action as an official doctrine by the Policy Committee of the Bilderberg Group at their inaugural meeting in 1954. So these MFs have been plotting on us for over 100 years. Okay? Then they used the term quiet war, which is World War III, which is what is happening to us right now. These 5G frequencies, which are about to be 6G frequencies, the Internet of Things, like they can already hack your body. I don't know if anybody's ever listened to Sabrina Wallace when she talks about you have that sixth sense. We have an extra body part. It is your aura field that you can activate at will. But we've been so dumbed down and fluoridated that most people don't even realize it. Go listen to Sabrina Wallace if you can find her anywhere. Because she was all over and then she just magically disappeared. I don't even think she has a YouTube channel anymore. Okay. Okay, so then they use the term quiet war, which is for World War III, which we are in the middle of right now, and you don't even realize it, to describe the overt tactical methodology to subjugate the human race. Oh, the document titled Top Secret Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars and Introductory Programming Manual was uncovered quite by accident on July 7th, 1986, when an employee of the Boeing Aircraft Company purchased a surplus IBM copier for scrap parts at a sale and discovered inside the details of a plan hatched in the embryonic days of the, quote, Cold War. So I had a couple of details wrong. I thought it was NASA. It wasn't. It was Boeing. And yeah, but the rest of the story, totally true. They found it in a copying machine. This manual of strategies called for control of the masses through manipulation of industry, people's pastimes, education, and political leanings. It called for a quiet revolution, pitting brother against brother to divert the public's attention from what is really going on. And it's working. Here is a partial quote from this document. TMSW 7905.1. It is patently impossible, and this is in quotes, it is patently impossible to discuss social engineering or the automation of a society, i.e., the engineering of social automation systems, in quotations, or in parentheses, silent weapons, on a national or worldwide scale without implying extensive objectives of social control and destruction of human life, i.e., slavery and schmenocide, which is happening all over the world right now. This manual is in itself an analog declaration of intent. Such writing must be secured from public scrutiny. Otherwise, it might be recognized as a technically formal declaration of domestic war. Furthermore, whenever any person or group of persons is in a position of great power and without full knowledge and consent of the public, uses such knowledge and methodology for economic conquest, it must be understood that a state of domestic warfare exists between said person or group of persons and the public. The solution of today's problems requires an approach which is ruthlessly candid, with no agonizing over an approach. With no agonizing over religious, moral, or cultural values. You have qualified for this project because of your ability to look at human society with cold objectivity, and yet analyze and discuss your observations and conclusions with other of similar intellectual capacity without a loss of discretion or humility. AKA, you've got to be a fucking psychopath. Such virtues, they're considering psychopathy a virtue. Great. Such virtues are exercised in your own best interest. Do not deviate from them. End quote. As a side note, substantial chunks of the 3,000 pages of, quote, recommendations given to the newly elected Ronald Reagan administration in January 1981 were based upon material taken from Willis Harman's Changing Images of Man. During the full moon on December 8, 1980, John Lennon was killed by a man named Mark Chapman, a man who prayed to Satan hours before he pulled the trigger, who walked robotically through the motions of murder in a trance-like daze and found himself in police custody, staring bewilderedly out at the world from within a tiny closet of darkened dreams. A carefully constructed multiple personality with a tightly focused purpose, a single target, and ultimate deniability, who stood and waited for police to arrive, calmly reading The Catcher in the Rye. That was coming of age. That coming of age novel by calmly reading. Okay, I keep reading the same line. God, let me put my finger down. Okay. Waited for the police to arrive, calmly reading The Catcher in the Rye, that coming of age novel by former U.S. intelligence officer J.D. Salinger. And isn't it odd how it's always some former military officer or some former child of someone that was high up? I say former child. Some child like Aldous Huxley, right? He was the son of some British person that was like high up in British intelligence or something, was he not? Isn't that what the book says? And that's not a coincidence, okay? There are breeding programs. They keep that shit in the family, as it were, all right? This is secret society stuff. I mean, and it's not conspiracy theory. It's conspiracy fact. It is doubtful we shall ever learn whether Mark Chapman was definitively the victim of an artificially induced model psychosis, like a Manchurian candidate type assassin deployed by the combined Tavistock CIA and MI6 to silence the increasingly unmanageable Lennon. In the end, it is the dreamers who die by an assassin's hand. Quite often they are killed by men who themselves are dreamers. 8 months later, on August 1st, 1981, a new concept was created in television that was part of the Tavistock Institute-led Quiet War for silent weapons technology. It was a 24-hour per day music station called MTV. Music television. Popular fairy tales aside, MTV2 was created by the controllers at the world's leading think tanks and brainwashing institutes for the purpose of further destroying the youth culture and permanently implanting another generational shift in modern society. And there's like hella footnotes. Okay. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to upload this and then we're going to keep reading because I'm trying to get this mother done. Okay.